What if the end of the world was just the beginning of a new one? In the unforgiving vastness of the Old West, where dust and despair were a way of life, one woman's last, desperate hope was about to lead her to a man who would change everything. They say the frontier holds no mercy, but in this timeless tale of love, kindness, and relentless courage, they would discover that the greatest treasure was not gold, but the bond that was forged when all hope was lost. This is the story of Luna and Jaxon, and a love as wild as the land they called home. The relentless dust, thick as a waking nightmare, filled Luna's 20s, with a spirit as untamed as her fiery hair lungs as she pushed her weary mare, Star, across the jagged, merciless expanse of the Texas Badlands. Her heart, a frantic drum against her ribs, hammered out a desperate rhythm of fear and exhaustion. Each beat a silent prayer for a miracle. Behind her, a menacing cloud of dust and the guttural shouts of her pursuers, the infamous gang led by the ruthless Rattlesnake Thorne, grew ominously closer. She clutched a worn leather satchel to her chest, not for gold or jewels, but for the precious deeds to her family's homestead, the last remaining hope for her ailing mother and younger siblings. This was their salvation, a beacon she had risked everything to retrieve from the corrupt land baron who had stolen them. The thought of their faces fueled her, pushing her to ride beyond the limits of exhaustion. But as the shadows of her pursuers grew long and menacing, Star stumbled, its exhausted legs finally giving out, sending Luna tumbling into the harsh, unforgiving terrain. The precious satchel flew from her grasp, its contents spilling onto the parched ground like shattered dreams. A cry of pure, soul-deep frustration escaped her lips as Rattlesnake Thorne and his men closed in, their cruel laughter echoing in the twilight, sealing her fate in the vast, indifferent wilderness. She lay there, bruised and broken, the dust settling around her like a final shroud, convinced that her desperate ride had come to its bitter, inevitable end, and that her family's last hope was lost forever to the encroaching darkness and the relentless pursuit of evil. Just as Rattlesnake Thorne, his face a mask of triumphant malice and his hand outstretched to grab the deeds, dismounted and advanced, a figure materialized from the deepening shadows of a nearby mesa. This was Jaxon 30's, lean, rugged, with a quiet intensity in his storm-gray eyes, a lone sentinel against the gathering darkness. He moved with the silent, predatory grace of a desert predator, his hand already resting on the well-worn revolver at his hip. The vulture gang, momentarily startled by the sudden intrusion, hesitated, their cruel laughter dying on their lips as they sized up the newcomer. Jaxon, without a word, assessed the situation, the terrified woman on the ground, the menacing gang, the spilled deeds. A silent tension, thick and suffocating, hung in the air, broken only by the mournful whine of the wind. Then, with a lightning-fast draw that defied the human eye, Jaxon's revolver was out, its polished barrel glinting in the dying light. A shot rang out, impossibly precise, disarming Rattlesnake Thorne with a flick of his wrist. The gang, though notorious, were cowards at heart when faced with true, unflinching skill, and the sudden, chilling accuracy of Jaxon's aim sent a tremor of fear through their ranks. Another shot, not meant to kill, but to warn, whizzed past another bandit's ear, a clear message of lethal intent. Thorne, clutching his stinging hand, snarled orders, but his men, rattled and outmatched, exchanged nervous glances. Jaxon's presence, his quiet confidence, and his almost supernatural speed had shifted the balance of power in an instant. The kindness in his eyes, despite the deadly precision of his actions, offered Luna a glimmer of hope she hadn't dared to dream of. He wasn't a hero for glory, but a protector driven by an unspoken code, a man whose quiet resolve cut through the Wild West's brutal indifference. The gang, after a tense standoff, finally gave way, their bravado crumbling in the face of Jaxon's unwavering stare, melting back into the shadows from which they came, leaving the dust and the silence in their wake. With the immediate danger gone, the full weight of the day's ordeal crashed down on Luna. Jaxon, holstering his revolver with a soft click, approached her with a quiet gentleness that belied his lethal capabilities. He knelt beside her, his gaze assessing her injuries with a practical yet tender concern. He offered her a canteen of precious water, its coolness a balm to her parched throat. and a piece of dried jerky, a simple act of kindness that spoke volumes in this desolate landscape. As the last vestiges of twilight painted the sky in hues of deep indigo and soft violet, they shared stories beneath the vast, star-dusted canopy of the desert night. Luna, hesitant at first, found herself revealing the full extent of her family's plight. The stolen deeds, the desperate journey, her voice laced with the raw vulnerability of a woman who had faced death and found an unexpected savior. Jaxon, in turn, spoke little of his past, his words sparse and measured, yet his silent understanding and the quiet intensity in his eyes offered a profound comfort. He was a man of the shadows, a lone wanderer with a past as mysterious as the desert itself. But in his presence, Luna felt an unfamiliar sense of safety and connection. They found common ground in their shared respect for justice and the harsh, unforgiving beauty of the land. His quiet strength was not overbearing, but a comforting anchor, and her resilience, despite her fear, clearly impressed him. A spark, delicate yet undeniable, ignited between them a shared understanding that transcended words, a nascent bond forged in the crucible of danger and kindness. The adventure that had begun with fear was now intertwining their paths, weaving a tapestry of shared vulnerabilities and budding affection under the vast, watchful eye of the Old West sky. Their journey to bring justice to Rattlesnake Thorne and restore the homestead deeds to Luna's family became a testament to their growing bond. Jaxon, with his unparalleled knowledge of the treacherous terrain and his deep understanding of the lawless elements, guided them through hidden canyons and across perilous riverbeds, always one step ahead of Thorne's vengeful pursuits. Luna, no longer just a woman in distress, proved herself a formidable partner, her keen intellect and unwavering spirit a perfect complement to Jaxon's quiet strength. She navigated old maps, helped plan their next moves, and even learned to handle a rifle with surprising proficiency under his patient tutelage. Along the way, their unspoken love blossomed, nurtured by shared risks, whispered conversations under starlit skies, and the profound respect that grew between them. It wasn't a love declared with grand words, but with a look, a shared smile after overcoming a challenge, a reassuring touch in the face of danger. They faced treacherous outlaws, navigated harsh weather, and even outsmarted corrupt town officials, their combined efforts proving far more potent than any single individual's strength. Jaxon, usually a man of solitude, found himself increasingly unwilling to imagine a future without Luna by his side, her presence a warmth he hadn't known he craved. And Luna, who had always defined herself by her family's struggle, now saw a future where love was as much a part of her destiny as justice. The adventure was no longer just about the land deeds. It was about the life they were building together, a life forged in the fire of the Wild West, bound by kindness, courage, and an unbreakable, unspoken promise. Their relentless pursuit finally led them to a climactic confrontation with Rattlesnake Thorne and his gang, a dusty, high-noon showdown in a forgotten canyon near the town of Haven's End. Jaxon, with Luna bravely by his side, outmaneuvered and outfought the Vulture gang, ensuring that justice, long overdue, was finally served. Thorne was apprehended, and the stolen deeds were secured, restoring Luna's family's rightful claim to their land. But the true victory was not just in winning back the homestead. It was in the enduring legacy of love and kindness they had forged. Back at Luna's now secure homestead, the land, once threatened, began to flourish under their combined care. Luna, using her knowledge, transformed the arid earth into a thriving farm, a symbol of hope and sustainable living in the harsh desert. Jaxon, no longer a lone wanderer, found his purpose not in the shadows, but in building a future with Luna. Their hands working the soil together, their hearts intertwined. Their home became a beacon of kindness, offering shelter and help to those in need, echoing the very compassion that had brought them together. Their story, whispered around campfires and told in bustling saloons, became a legend of the Wild West, a testament to a love stronger than any adversity, a kindness that could tame the wildest frontier, and an adventure that proved true wealth lay not in gold, but in human connection. They built a life, a family, and a community rooted in the values they held dear, proving that even in the most lawless of times, love, courage, and compassion could create a new, brighter frontier, leaving a legacy far more precious than any fleeting fortune. And so, their legend endures. Luna and Jaxon's story isn't just about outlaws and gunfights. It's a powerful reminder that even in the most unforgiving places, kindness can forge a future, and love can build a home. Their adventure shows us that the greatest treasure of the Wild West wasn't gold or fame, but the unwavering strength of the human heart. If you were moved by this tale of courage and compassion, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more legendary stories from the frontier. And tell us in the comments below, what does courage mean to you?